the woman in the white dress. This happened just yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. I'm not quite sure what to think of it, because it was just so bizarre and unbelievable. I might have just been sleep deprived. So last night at maybe 11 o'clock, I was walking around my block. My town is relatively safe, so I didn't feel in danger. Plus, it was a pretty night. I'd been walking around for 5 minutes when a pale woman with blonde hair and a white dress caught my eye from across the street. She was about my height and looked to be around my age too. I didn't actually pay attention to her after I first noticed her. While I circled the block again, she was on the same street, a couple of feet in front of me. She was standing on the curb, staring at the cars passing by. It was a main road, so even that late, people were still driving on it. I said hello to her, and she turned her gaze to me. I couldn't see her face super well, but from what I think I saw, she had no pupils or colour in her eyes. She just stared at me. After a while, I asked if she was okay. She didn't respond again and simply pointed at the road. I was really confused and didn't understand. Right as a red car started coming down the road, she stepped out into the road. The car slammed into her and it was a bloody mess. The driver immediately stopped and jumped out. It was a man in his mid-20s. We both spoke about it, freaking out. He called the police and I went around the car to see the state of the girl. Once I circled around the car, she was gone. Not gone as in dead. Gone as in she just wasn't there. The blood on the road was gone too, but not gone from his car. After the police arrived, they concluded that it was some kind of big hoax of a kid who didn't know what they were talking about and some guy who just went along with it. The blood on the truck was brought to investigation only to be found as paint. Nothing else was put up about it. I'm still not sure if what happened was real. It felt so real, but I don't believe in the paranormal. I don't know what it was, if it was just a dream or if it was real. I remember it like it was real. I feel like I can't leave the house now. I don't understand anything now, and I kind of feel like I'm going crazy. Has anyone else experienced something like this? I think the water plant is haunted. Hello everyone, I'm a water treatment plant operator. Been doing this about a decade. I've been the night shift guy my whole career. The nights are normally quiet and can be boring if everything goes to plan. My plant has a few different builds. The oldest is 60 or so years old. The main building I spend a majority of my shift in is roughly only 20 years old. For more backstory of this area, this used to be a booming, energised area. It was littered with railroad tracks and drifters coming and going on the trains of yesteryear. Our farms and factories were very bountiful back then. Now that you all understand that, you must also understand that with success in an area, there is also darkness. From the settling of this area, wars with natives, and even in the 30s and 40s of people being killed in train wrecks and bad business deals, the grounds are laced with a darkness. The silence of the night shift can be eerie all on its own, lots of bumps and bangs in the dimly lit darkness. On the night I am now about to speak about, everything started out as normal. I came in around sunset, got the nightly passover and began my work. Around midnight I had to do my rounds around the property while getting the nightly pump numbers. I made my rounds with nothing but a flashlight around the main building. The oldest building is a good walking distance from the main building. I sat out in the dark, headed for that building. I must also add that we aren't in the nicest area of town. However, I'm a big guy and can hold my own. As I made my walk, I got an uneasy feeling. I had gotten them before, but I have a job to do, and nothing came of it. I rounded the corner and unlocked the door. As I did this, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Again, I have a job to do though. I opened the door, and there stood nothing. I walked in and proceeded to get my numbers. I turned around to walk to the exit. As I turned to shut the door, I looked up the hallway to see a woman in pure white looking at me through the other door. I almost jumped out of my boots and pissed myself a little. I fell backwards. As I came back to reality once again, I made eye contact with this entity. I met her gaze. As I did, everything in me said, "Hey, your life is in danger, buddy." Her face distorted and started to shift around. I was now frozen as she shifted into what looked like an Indian warrior. His eyes were glowing. As I got to my feet, he had shifted into this huge wolf creature. The growls were chilling, to say the least. It snarled, then ran towards me. I had no time to even shut the door. I ran as fast as I could, screaming bloody murder. I felt it trying to bite my backside. I got hold of my pants leg and tore it in shreds. I stumbled and rolled, but somehow managed to come up on my feet, and I darted into the main building. As I shut the door, I felt a hard thud on the other side. I locked the doors and cowered down inside. I could hear this thing casing the building, growling and scratching at the walls. I got the courage to look out of the window, just to end up face to face with the White Lady again. I had the police come and sit with me until sunup. No one else has seen the White Lady since. It's still quite freaky, but I have a job to do. A Wendigo broke into my house. Before I begin, I'm a 16-year-old male. About 3 years ago, I was in Virginia visiting my family over summer. We were right outside the DC area and staying in a 2-story house near the freeway. On the other side of the freeway was a forest. So my mom, her boyfriend Eric and I were all staying with Eric's parents. We had bought some night vision binoculars and decided that tonight was the perfect time to use them. So, after dinner, we gear up and head out. We pass under the freeway and head into the woods. When we get about 5 minutes into the forest, we set down our bag and take out the binoculars. My mum looks around with them for a while, seeing a few squirrels here and there. She gets tired of them and passes them to me. I look around for a while, being careful not to look at the freeway for fear of being blinded. I spot something behind a tree about 50 feet to our left. I concentrate on it, trying to figure out what it is. It looks like a pale, bold, anorexic man looking straight at us from behind the tree. I get a bit uneasy, but I'm hesitant to believe it's really there. I ask Eric to take a look, just in case. To my despair, he sees it too. He describes it much the same way I did. Now, Eric is a former amateur boxer, and I train MMA almost every day, but neither of us wants to stick around with that thing. We start heading back to the house, crossing under the freeway. We take another look behind us as a car comes by. All three of us see glowing eyes lit up by the headlights on the other side of the freeway. We say fuck that and head back to the house. When we get back, Eric's parents are asleep, and my mum and Eric go upstairs to the guest room. There's only one guest room, so I have the couch downstairs. I'm a little too excited after seeing the thing in the woods, so I end up staying up all night. Around 3 a.m, I'm watching TV and start hearing footsteps above me. I immediately remember our earlier encounter and panic a little. I tried to calm down and tell myself it's just one of the dogs, or maybe someone who couldn't sleep. I keep hearing the footsteps for a while, until I hear a doorknob jiggle. I find it weird that they're trying to open a locked door, but try to ignore it. They stop, walk around for a few more minutes, and then it's quiet again. I stay up until the sun starts coming up and then pass out. My mum wakes me up and I remember the footsteps from the night before. I describe what happened and asked if one of them got up at any time. She says no, and I think it must have been one of the dogs. That is, until she tells me the room above me is the office. No one was in the office and the door stays locked at night. My heart sinks as I piece it all together. I don't know if it was that thing for sure, but I think it was. I've done a lot of research since then, trying to figure out what that thing was that night. I found 2 creatures that seemed to match it, I think it was either a skinwalker or a wendigo. Whichever one it was, I'm just thankful that the door was locked. I know I wouldn't be able to fight that thing no matter how tough I am.
The end.